Ready to level up? Chumba Casino is your playbook to fun. It's free to play with no purchase necessary. Enjoy hundreds of online social games like blackjack, slots, and solitaire anytime, anywhere with fresh releases every week. Whether you're at home or on the go, let Chumba Casino bring the excitement to you. Plus, get free daily login bonuses and a free welcome bonus. Join now for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Play Chumba Casino today. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. T&Cs apply. Ready to level up? Chumba Casino is your playbook to fun. It's free to play with no purchase necessary. Enjoy hundreds of online social games like blackjack, slots, and solitaire anytime, anywhere with fresh releases every week. Whether you're at home or on the go, let Chumba Casino bring the excitement to you. Plus, get free daily login bonuses and a free welcome bonus. Join now for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Play Chumba Casino today. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. T&Cs apply.
Hey, welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. Dan Hanzus with Marc Sessler on day, hell, what day is it of free agency? 3?
33.
And I guess right now it's officially the league new year. So happy new year to everyone who celebrates, and we'll be on the lookout for anything that drops, including a player like, I don't know, Kyler Murray, who now is officially free to sign with any team. Helping us along the way here, Mark, is one of our very favorites. You may know him from the Ringer NFL show. You may know him from the Philly Special Eagles podcast. Sheil Kapadia, welcome back to Heed the Call, baby.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me, because I feel like there's a lot of juice right now in the content space. The two stories I feel like everyone's talking about: one, Maxx Crosby, and two, what happened on Gravedigger's bachelorette party. So I suspect we would get to both of those during the course of the show, hopefully.
The Batch, as it's known infamously. And he's yet to really divulge. But listen, Sheil's a perfect example of a major national media figure, Justin, that wants to know the truth, as we all do. You know why you're here, Sheil, mostly. We need to get a real deep dive on the Johnny Munt signing by the Eagles. Grant Calcaterra, he's back. So we're going to start with about 30 minutes there. So let's go.
Listen, you got to give the Munt heads what they want. I don't know how many are in the chat right now, how many will be listening later. But yeah, I'm ready to go. We can do we can do 90 minutes on that if you want.
You know, it's funny, Mark, like, you know, you, me, and Justin, we were trying to figure out the last couple of days, like, okay, what's the best way to lead the show? And we're like, oh man, it's not that obvious. And here we are covering 32 teams. And then you tune into the Philly Special, and they're dealing with the second and third string tight end signing and doing 37 minutes on Reek Woolen and 10 minutes on the World Baseball Classic. I'm like, we should not be complaining.
No, I appreciate the granular approach, and I'm sure the listener base over there does as well.
Got to get David Njoku in that building in Philadelphia. That's what I think. How about that?
That'd be nice. That might get a few more minutes than Johnny Munt. So yeah, I agree with that.
Let's talk with the big story that obviously rocked the NFL. How big a story was it? I was feeding pitches in the batting cage to my majors Little League team, and multiple kids were talking about Maxx Crosby. And
let's get it on your radar, considering it's your career while you're playing coach.
Yeah. They don't even know like what I do for a living. And they're like, then it's like, do I say to an 11-year-old, I host a football podcast? It's like, oh, that's a rough one. But anyway, Maxx Crosby is a free agent, or excuse me, he's not a free agent. He's still on the Raiders because the Ravens backed out of the deal. Do you have can we just see the wording of the statement that the Raiders sent out that sent the whole league into a tizzy? And notice the wording here. The Baltimore Ravens have backed out of our trade agreement for Maxx Crosby. I love the Raiders. They're so stupid and fun. We will have no further comment at this time. I'll start on this one because, Sheil, I'm going to tell a little personal story. I am in a fantasy football league that has had the same core guys in it since the mid-'90s. And one of the core guys was the commissioner of the league for multiple years. And this December, he committed a rules violation. We're a 2-quarterback league. He had too many quarterbacks on the roster, and he had written in the league bylaws that if you have 4 or more quarterbacks on your roster by the time games kick off Sunday, that team must forfeit their week. That's how serious we are about the quarterback stockpile rule. Okay. He fought it and said, no, I don't want to forfeit. I don't want to forfeit. Change. We said, you can't. These are your rules. And then we said, all right, well, how about we do a league vote? The league voted against him. So what did he do? He went rogue and he did not accept the ruling. And that changed the playoff seedings. He ran his own playoff bracket, a pirate renegade playoff bracket. And we had to kick his ass out of the league. We've known this guy for almost 30 years. We said, you got to go. And he's out of the league. That's how I feel about the Baltimore Ravens. Do we actually believe this is, Mark, by far the most heinous thing the Ravens organization has ever done, in my opinion?
Well, yeah, I have a list, but it's on the list. Yes.
By far the most heinous. I think it's very clear what happened here. And what I love about covering this sport is knowing how much the teams care about what's written and talked about around them. And I honestly think, straight up, Sheil, that they did not like the way this trade was being seen in the open market or in the media, how it was being portrayed, that they gave up too much. And they saw themselves as a chance to wiggle out of this, pivot and sign Trey Hendrickson as they did today. And there's nothing the Raiders can do about it. And none of it feels clean, but it all feels very intentional. Do not tell me that these medicals were the real reason. This is a team that got cold feet, and I think it was a disgusting act.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you in the reading of the situation. You know, my mom has this saying, double mind. And as I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know if that's an Indian thing. I don't know if that's a Kapadia thing. I have no idea where this phrase comes from, but she's been using it my entire life for 40 years. And it means very simply, you can't make a decision. You change your mind. So 1 minute you're saying, let's order some pizza for dinner. And then 5 minutes later, you think, ooh, maybe sushi would be better. You're having double mind. You don't know what to order for dinner. The Ravens, I don't know if they've got an Indian, in that front office, but someone, I'm telling you, someone was having double mind in there. I'm with you. And I don't, there are people putting out the spin for the Ravens that this has happened before. And, every team's medical staff is different and they saw it and they couldn't go through with it. I'm sorry. I could have bought that if 12 hours after the story broke, you weren't signing Trey Hendrickson.
Yes.
So now it feels very clear to me that you were sitting there going, ooh, this, we thought we liked this deal. We thought we were going for it with Maxx Crosby. It was an aggressive move. It's an un-Ravens-like move, by the way. They've never done this before. So then they're starting to second guess it and saying, we didn't think Trey Hendrickson was still going to be on the market. He's asking for $28 million per year. We thought it was going to be $33 million per year. We could keep those first-round picks. His agent just called and said he's interested in playing for the Ravens. I know it's going to make us look bad, but should we do it? And they said, screw it. We're doing it. And I think that's how we got here. I
the
don't
Baltimore screw job is right, Jim McNally.
Baltimore
screw job. I like it.
Sassy, what do you think?
No, I'm on the party line with you on this, that I think that the Trey Hendrickson situation became magnified with each hour that they had Maxx Crosby in the building. And you were right, Sheil, that this was an unorthodox Ravens urgent swing for the fences in terms of the picks. And yes, there is an injury situation with Maxx Crosby, but they were on the phone with Trey Hendrickson while Maxx Crosby was still in the building before Eric DeCosta brought him into his office and said, we're not doing this. And because I think the one thing that they know that most of us aren't in the building to see is the medical situation. Each of these teams have different doctors. They've got different medical reports, different ways to drill down into a situation. And so it's hazy and there's a gray area to it. But I think the Ravens, what happened here, which is unusual, and it's a weird team to say this about, the Ravens blinked.
Is it fair to say that this is not above the NFL investigating this?
But they were allowed to. It's one of the only times that this new league year thing where we laugh at the fact that there's this deadline on today at this point. The problem is they are allowed to do what they did. It's something is rotten in Denmark.
Yeah, I'm with Ceci there, actually. I don't think this is a league matter. I don't think there should be discipline because I'm sure your parents are, hey, until it's signed, nothing is finalized. Don't go telling your friends you got a new job. Did you actually sign the DocuSign that says you have a new job? Because until you do that, anyone can back out. It was one of those situations. So I don't think there should be league discipline. I actually think the Ravens should embrace the heel roll and be like, this is the NFL. This isn't Dan Hanzus' little league team or his fantasy football league. This is cutthroat.
Bastions of integrity, both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is cutthroat, and other teams are doing all kinds of things you don't know about. And guess what? We found a better option. The deal hadn't been signed, and we backed out. And whether you like that or not, listen, there was stuff we saw in the physical, yes, but nothing was signed. We hadn't called this into the league. You can boo us however much you want, and then we can all decide, is the karma going to catch up to the Ravens for doing this, or are they heels that end up winning the Super Bowl with Trey Hendrickson? I mean, that gets my juices flowing.
I like that. Narrative. I like everything that you're saying, and especially own it. That would be awesome. It would, to take the wrestling analogy further, as we talk about the Baltimore screw job. It's when Vince McMahon became Mr. McMahon and just went total heel, leaned into it, and it changed the arc of that industry forever. Do it. Let's do that. And doing it to the Raiders, the team that you would think would do something like this in the old days with Al Davis. That's a little extra spice there on the pizza pie. But still, look at to bring up another Raiders related melodrama scandal, when they went through John Gruden's emails with Bruce Allen and all that. I just like to take a peek at some emails and texts. Can we just get a peek? See what the Ravens, Eric DaCosta and everybody, what were we saying? What were the conversations being had? Did Ozzie Newsome chime in from somewhere? I'd like to know.
I think it matters too that the Ravens went through a 24-hour period where they lost a bunch of their own players. It's just been an atypical week for the Ravens where you're mortgaging your future, 2 first-round picks, a team that drafts really well, and you lost your center and a bunch of other players. And suddenly, to your point, Dan, at the top was this didn't look great it looked un-Ravens-like. And then the Maxx Crosby thing, if you go to see what Diana Rossini said as well, is that the medical side sounds like, and we're just learning this in real time, that he looked like he'd be fine for the next year or two. But it was the long-term situation with the knee. Is it degenerative? Is this player that you're mortgaging the future for going to be someone that is there for more than a 2-year, 3-year window tops? And they got cold feet. And I do think they have the right to do it. That's the weird thing about this whole NFL free agency thing, is that it's we're in this fugazi time, then it becomes official. They have the right to do it, but I think if you're the Ravens and if you're the Raiders and you're a Raiders fan, you got to be thinking, what can we do to finally capture a winning offseason? Because it looked like they had completely navigated a future with multiple draft picks, lots of signings. They're keeping them all, but it's they got thrown in a blender, and it's the Ravens who do it. And I'm no Ravens fan, so.
Yeah, let's talk about it from the Raiders side then. So now what do you do? Because obviously this impacts your market. I mean, it's a kind of a devastating thing for the Raiders, because not only did you pull off what was a really good trade to offload a player who didn't want to be there, now that comes off the board. It's very unlikely you're going to get 2 first-round picks again. On top of it now, a lot of teams that thought Maxx Crosby was off the board that were in need of edge help went and spent it elsewhere. Look at the Cowboys as an example, who are willing apparently to give up a first and a second to take on Crosby. They go and they get Rashawn Gary. They fill that spot. There's many other teams that are in a similar situation. So now, do you trade him for 50 cents on the dollar now? Do you talk about we already sent him out of our building? Do we hold on to him until the trade deadline and maybe get a Sauce Gardner type deal at the deadline from a team that thinks it's right on the edge? Will Maxx Crosby ever agree to that, Sheil? They are in a very tricky spot. And again, everything we hear about this organization, even though this was not their fault, let's be very clear. I just went on a spiel yesterday about how people default to lol Jets with that Geno Smith move. People do the same thing with the Raiders. And this is not their fault, but I do not necessarily trust the brain trust here to pivot and get this egg off their face, if you want to call it that. Do you?
No, that you framed it exactly right. Where when we look at this offseason and we're reading the Alex Guerrero stories, and it's like Tom Brady's in Florida, but Alex Guerrero's doing his dirty work for him, and you're just like, I don't trust the infrastructure here. However, this was the only trade I can remember where it was universally agreed on that the Raiders maximized compensation for Maxx Crosby, getting 2 first-round picks, including the 14th overall. I don't think anyone on any morning talk show was going, Raiders didn't get enough for Maxx Crosby. They should have got a 3rd first-round pick. Everyone agreed, nice job, Raiders. You know, it's a bad situation. Yeah, you wish you could have made it work, but once you know you're trading the player, you got to maximize the value, and they were able to do that. But now they got screwed, and now they have to pivot. And now I'm reading reports, so now Crosby's a Raider. Could still... Come on. Maxx Crosby is not I don't think Maxx Crosby's putting on a Raiders uniform in week 1 of next year. So now you have to make the best of a bad situation. I think you still get a first-round pick and something else for him, but you're absolutely right. These teams that would have been in on it, that might have given you 2 first-round picks, just the Ravens had a better offer, have now done other stuff with other players and their cap space and their resources. So, yeah, Raiders are in a bad spot. They're screwed. I don't trust them to navigate this. I hope they still end up getting a first and something else and can say we made the best of a bad situation.
And I genuinely, like, you know, these players are multimillionaires and they live in a world and in a way that we never will. But, like, if you're Maxx Crosby and you brought your family to the Ravens facility and they toured you around and you know, it was like this was a major career moment. He was back in the Raiders building at 6 a.m. today rehabbing his knee. It's like you're everything spun around. Have you ever like broken up with someone where you still had to live in the same apartment for like 2 more months? It's not great. It's not the way you want things to go. And then suddenly Maxx Crosby, like
I would
they
never
clearly
do something like that.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not saying I've done it over and over, but when you're like 20
You literally lived in a car with a woman in the middle of an Arizona desert for months. We've heard that.
It was a
story.
VW camper van, but yes, but like
okay, a little more space than there.
You're right, a little more space,
Plenty of space.
Yeah. It's tense. There's tension there, and so I don't like it. I just feel like Maxx Crosby is not the player that should be treated this way, and here we are.
And last note I have on this, I'm a little bit annoyed because I thought when this went down, I talked about it on Monday, it felt like a move that had a little, not that it couldn't work for the Ravens, but had a whiff of desperation for an organization that cannot get over the hump. And now they're saying, let's start doing un-Ravensy things because the clock's ticking on Lamar Jackson. He's 29. Is he even the same player he was a couple of years ago? Like, we got to do something. So they go out of their comfort zone. They make what I think was not a great trade. They bring in this veteran player, and then you have a loss of 2 first-round picks, and the center goes elsewhere to the Raiders, ironically, or coincidentally, whatever. And now you're off the hook. And I think what annoys me, they go and they get Trey Hendrickson, and he's like he's not Maxx Crosby, but he's a very good pass rusher. I think he had like 19 sacks 2 years ago. And you still have your 2 first-round picks, and you somehow, impossibly, you've made Jamar Chase even more pissed. Here's the latest from Jamar Chase. He was pissed when Maxx Crosby went from the Raiders to the Ravens. Now he loses his buddy Trey to the rival. Today, April 1st. And if you missed it, here was Jamar Chase during his Twitch or whatever the learning of the Maxx Crosby deal initially.
No. No.
All right, we already heard this. So, but Sheil, let's just think about everyone. Let's think of the bad guy in this of the Ravens and working out for them, and let's think about poor Jamar Chase.
You know what bothers me is that I've been trying, I'm trying to get to the new content with the vertical video, and it takes me an hour to do 90 seconds, and it's terrible, and the lighting's bad. And that was great content from Jamar Chase, and all he did is drop a few F-bombs there on a Twitch, and I'm watching that over my content every single time. So that's a little bit frustrating. But to your point, Dan, about the Ravens, I was thinking if I'm a Ravens fan, how do I feel about this? And I think I'm saying, like, hey, we did what's best for our organization, our team. We have a better chance actually now to win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years than we did with that Maxx Crosby trade. And any of you who are complaining about it, screw you. We don't care. We did what gives us the best chance to win. So it sets up a nice little rivalry, I feel like, between the Ravens and the rest of the NFL going into the 2026 season.
And on top of that, too, is like this concept that's out there that like teams aren't going to want to deal with the Ravens ever again. Yeah. Like no one's going to work with the Ravens.
Pan.
Like with everything in our society, fast forward a week and we'll be dealing with the Ravens just fine, depending if someone has something they want, vice versa.
Well said.
No doubt.
Well said. And one thing I've learned about this country is abhorrent behavior and not being a good person. It always comes back to get you. You know, you don't get rewarded for it in this country.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So everything's going to work out in the end, guys.
Yeah.
No, unless you're in my fantasy football league, justice is not always served. And these are some hard lessons. I'm going to talk to my Little League team about it.
That's a good next step.
One more Little League story before our first break.
Yeah.
Generational gap, this one. Last week at the batting cage, the kids were struggling. Coach turned it up to 6, right? And it was blowing away some of the kids. And afterwards, I'm an assistant. I'm not the manager. Yeah. Coach Ray was like, Dan, do you have anything else to add? And I launched into this. You can't be intimidated by the cage. You can't be intimidated by the machine. And then I just started wandering into a Rocky IV analogy of Rocky and Ivan Drago, the great Russian piece of iron. And the children all looked at me like I had elbow growing out of my forehead. And I've learned from that, and I'm going to move forward as a human.
Well, you referenced a film from 3.5 decades ago, which probably is not the way to access children's emotions, but
it's only 40 years old.
Listen, those are tough situations. I was talking to some middle schoolers last week, and it was a career day thing, and I said, oh, yeah, I used to cover the Seahawks. And a kid raises his hand. Did you interview DK Metcalf? And I'm like, no, it was before then. It was more, like Russell Wilson. And then I'm doing the math, and I'm like, they have no idea who Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. I'm like, this is terrible. When stuff like that slaps you in the face once in a while now, I don't like the feeling. I say stick with them. They can get Rocky IV streaming as they should
out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you see Apollo Creed murdered in cold blood in the first act, but still, they have to see. They have to learn about these things. Just like they have to learn the underhanded dealings of rascals like the Baltimore Ravens.
Right,
it's part of life.
Fortitude.
Finally, before our break, Mark, Dan did it, Sheil did it. Now, what are you doing to help the kids, the youth?
What do I do to help children? Mostly stay out of their way. I allow them to grow and be free on their own without my interference. So.
Wow. And maybe that is the greatest gift of all. All right, stay right there. We'll be back live. Free agency. Happy New Year. Thanks to everybody in the stream. We'll be checking in with you guys in just a bit. Stay right there.
When you bring a child into the world, your perspective shifts overnight. Suddenly, I'm not just thinking about today. I'm thinking about kindergarten drop-offs, first cars, college tours, all the milestones I can't wait to see. And part of loving my family means planning for their future, even in the uncomfortable ways. That's why I chose life insurance through Ethos.
What really stood out to me was how fast and simple it was. With Ethos, everything is 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in as little as 10 minutes, and potentially get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. Just answer a few health questions right from your laptop or phone. Coverage options go up to $3 million, and some policies start as low as $30 per month.
Yep, it gave me real peace of mind knowing I could protect my family without adding more stress to our busy life. And it's not just me. Thousands of families trust Ethos. They have a 4.8 out of 5-star rating on Trustpilot from over 3,000 reviews.
Plus, as of March 2025, Business Insider named them the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider.
If you've been putting it off, this is your sign. It only takes a few minutes to help protect the people who matter the most.
Protect your family with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote in minutes at ethos.com/HTC. That's ethos.com/HTC, ethos.com/HTC. Application times and rates may vary. Mark, I don't know what it is about certain seasons, but every year without fail, the bugs show up. For us, it's Ants in the kitchen, gotta deal with that. Mosquitoes, spiders in the corners of the basement. And once I see one, I can't unsee it. I start checking every wall before bed. It's brutal.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And let me tell you, it's not exactly restful. I have enough trouble sleeping already, as you know. I don't need to be worrying about pests on top of it.
That's right. So we looked into professional pest control, but the quotes were hundreds of dollars, plus scheduling appointments and having someone in the house, which nobody wants. That's why I was really intrigued by Pesty. It's a customized, do-it-yourself pest control kit. They ship you pro-grade pesticide, the same kind the professionals use, along with a sprayer, mixing bag, gloves, and clear instructions. It honestly takes less than 10 minutes to mix and get started, and I love that it's tailored to my specific location, climate, and the bugs common in my area.
Absolutely, Dan. Pesty handles over 100 types of bugs, from ants and spiders to roaches and scorpions. It's kid and pet friendly when used as directed. It's fully registered, and it's even used in hospitals and schools. Plans start at just $35 per treatment, and it comes with 100% bug-free guarantee or your money back.
Mark, this is great for your dungeon. Bugs hate to see you coming with Pesty. Go to pesty.com/HTC for an extra 10% off your order. That's PESTIE.com/HTC for an extra 10% off.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
Welcome back live. Happy New Year. NFL League Year 2026 has officially begun. A couple more notes, just cleaning up a couple things. The Hendrickson deal is 4 years for $112 million, $28 million average, up to $120, $60 of it guaranteed. That's an important number and all that, so that is a nice contract. And again, the Ravens get their pass rusher and keep their 2 first-round picks. Rap Sheet reported the Colts were in, quote, pole position to sign Hendrickson before the Ravens swooped in. So there you go, chain reaction. There's just innocent bodies on the ground everywhere, Sheil.
Yeah, I would say the losers of this, certainly the Raiders, but you have to say the Colts also, if they thought they were getting Trey Hendrickson here. And then maybe if you're a team like the Cowboys and you thought you really wanted him, maybe those are the top 3. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to the Colts in a second. One more thing. I really liked, as I said, the bitchy tone of the Raiders tweet announcing that the deal had fallen through. This very quickly, as happens in social media, spun into a new meme. Here's a couple of examples of that. The Texans announced the Cleveland Browns have backed out of our trade agreement for Deshaun Watson. We have no further comment at this time. Mark, sliding doors there. What else do we have? Anything else? The Minnesota Vikings have backed out of our selection of J.J. McCarthy in the 2024 NFL Draft. We will have no further comment at this time. That's such a great way to tag a statement. We will have no further comment.
It's rugged. I find it to be like a tough mind.
It's like you're in control. Yeah. I'm in control of the narrative, okay? That's how
I made one as well from the Los Angeles Lakers.
The Dallas Mavericks have backed out of our trade agreement for Luka Doncic. We will have no further comment at this time. There you go.
I wish.
I like that.
Excellent, Justin. That was, cutting edge.
My son pulled a Cooper Flagg rookie card that I paid $14 for the pack. This Intuit Dome, I don't know if anybody's been there, where the Clippers play.
No.
So the Clippers stomped the Knicks, unfortunately, on Monday. And everything is completely biometrically built out to the point where, now imagine having 2 sons, 11 and 9, or any type of children. And when you go to the concourse, you walk into this area called a pick and roll, where you stare into a void, some type of digital void, sliding doors open up, and then you go in with your children, and they are aware anything they pick up immediately gets tagged to daddy's credit card. That's how my 2 sons walked out without my knowledge with 2 $14 packs of Topps cards, in addition to $27 chicken fingers, candies, a major bang job in the biggest of all spots. Beware, Mark. There's another child.
No, I've been in that type
PSA.
of relationship before. You've got to keep eyes open, stay focused.
I brought this up, Zeus, or maybe you do this next time. My daughter and I, we were going to a Sixers Spurs game. I'm like, we got to go see Wemby. We got to go see Wemby.
Sure.
She's like, okay, we're looking at the tickets, but then she's already going, well, we got to get the crab fries, and are we going to get pizza? And I thought to myself, here's what I actually should do. If I were a good parent teaching her financial responsibility, I'm giving you a budget. Here's the budget. You spend it how you want. Tickets, merch, food, parking, by the way, because I'll park in some shady spot in South Philly and say we're walking half an hour, but it's free, or you can pay $30 for parking.
Like in the neighborhood from Patty's, basically. That's where you're parking.
That'll be fine. You know, what's going to happen? So I don't know. Maybe that's something you think about next time. I haven't implemented it, but it is on my mind for the next time we go to a game. Yeah.
Very smart.
I don't see Dan parking in Inglewood, California, too far afield from the stadium, but fair enough.
Where is the VIP parking? Immediately take me there, man in yellow jacket. All right. Speaking of the Colts, they extend Daniel Jones. So he was on that weird-ass transition tag that we got all worked up about, but nobody came and swooped and stole him away. So you're telling me the guy with the broken leg and the torn Achilles and the torn ACL that's been good for like 17 games in 6 years, nobody came in and stole him with a giant contract. Maybe we shouldn't have talked about it so much last week. Anyway, the Colts and Jones are finalizing a 2-year, $88 million deal that could be worth up to $100 million with incentives per Pelissero and Rap Sheet. So there you go. He gets over $60 million guaranteed. The Colts also signed former Jets defensive end Michael Clemens to a 3-year, $17.5 million deal, which is hilarious because Michael Clemens might be the most hated Jets defender I can think of in recent memory. But again, Chris Ballard's on a mission to find out what he can do and not get fired. So good luck to you.
I think like Jones and Alec Pierce are roughly a third of their cap this season. So it better work. But I mean, it's the durability with Jones. You mentioned it, broken leg, torn Achilles, has neck issues in the past. Like you're just hoping he can get through a season. And he really didn't play very well after that really insanely beautiful start to the season for the Colts. So it's a strange and incomplete team in my opinion.
See, this is why I like you guys, with that intro there, because the film bros and the hipsters, I'm scrolling and they're saying, nice job by Chris Ballard. You got this done. You kept Alec Pierce. You got Daniel Jones. And I'm going, this is a terrible idea. What reasonable mind could actually think this is going to work out well? 2 years, $88 million for Daniel Jones with $60 million guaranteed. Dan just laid out, he's coming off an Achilles. The whole idea of Daniel Jones last year was the supporting cast is very good. Shane Steichen is very good. Daniel Jones played 8 good games in that environment to everybody's surprise. And now you're telling me that a year later with this injury, he's going to come back without his right tackle, without Michael Pittman Jr., with this injury, and they're just, here comes the top 5 offense in the NFL. I don't think it's going to happen. And then if you say, well, Sheil, that's why they got him for 2027. So let's say he plays well in 2027, and you're the Colts. Guess what happens after 2027? Now you have to pay Daniel Jones even more money. You got no upside with this deal. I don't understand how Chris Ballard, if he's actually trying to save his job, I don't understand how anyone in the Colts building doesn't go to him and say, Chris, I know, listen, we liked what Daniel Jones was about. It was a magical 2.5 months last year. This is a bad idea. There actually are other options, whether it's Kyler Murray or Geno Smith or Kirk Cousins. None of them are a great option, but guess what? They all cost between $1 and $3 million, and there's a pretty good chance that one of them or all of them can perform better than Daniel Jones did in this offense with our head coach and our supporting cast. So this is what I don't understand anybody who thinks this is a good idea. Like I'm looking around going, am I the dumb one? Am I missing something?
Yeah, no, we're aligned on this. Absolutely. It's like Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction. Like when I think about some of these team builders, that's pride effing with you. Like these guys, he can't and the organization can't give up the ghost to 7-1, and they thought they nailed it. And I know, the Carly Ursay Gordon, it's a great story, and it's fun seeing her on the sideline, and we're all rooting for her post Jim Irsay, but we don't have any evidence like that anybody actually knows what they're doing at organization. And I just don't get the Jones fascination. I just don't. I mean,
I cannot think of a general manager that has in modern times been allowed to select, pick, and choose as many quarterbacks as Chris Ballard.
Yeah.
It's an outrageous number. You usually have at most like 3 swings at that, right? As a general manager, it's been double that.
And that Michael Clemens move was that's like the most penalized, annoyingly penalized player in the history of the New York Jets. You turn around and give him a guaranteed multi-year contract. And like I tweeted this, it's almost like with Ballard, the act in Groundhog Day where Bill Murray's just actively killing himself over and over again just to see what's going to happen. Like he's daring the football gods or the Colts or somebody to be like, you probably shouldn't have this job. You probably shouldn't be doing this. But who knows? Maybe they're right and we're all wrong, and they'll be right back where they were. Because you can. Here's the optimistic picture, because I know Colts fans are annoyed, and that's fair. Jones does come back. He comes back healthy. The offensive line is blocking for Jonathan Taylor. Jones is playing the way he was at the start of the season. Full season of Sauce Gardner anchoring the back end of the defense. And you are a very good team in a wide open AFC. Like, okay, it could happen. But you also could be dealing with the next Tua/Kyler Murray situation at your quarterback position. And you willfully put yourself in that situation. So let's see what happens.
It did happen for half a year last year. Is that repeatable? That's a major question.
Other moves. Bills signed Bradley Chubb. 3 years, $43.5 million, up to $52.5. So does that mean that takes him out of the Joey Bosa era of their defense, I guess? Still looking for that kind of Von Miller closer. That never worked out either. Bosa actually had some moments there, but I guess they're going in a different direction. 3-time Pro Bowl safety Kevin Byard is signing with the Patriots on a 1-year, $9 million deal, so the Patriots continue to supplement their roster. The Commanders signed another tight end, comes off the board, but not Njoku. Chig Okonkwo, 3-year deal worth up to $30 million. They also get Leo Chanel, the linebacker, 3 years, $24.75. So they are busy. The Browns add, I kind of like this one, Ceci. The Browns sign Elton Jenkins to a 2-year, $24 million deal, getting more help along the front. What do you think about that one?
Well, I would say one thing, and why the Browns are frustrating from one angle, multiple angles, but they needed essentially to replace their entire offensive line, depending on what happens with Joel Bitonio. And they trade for Titus Howard. Zion Johnson gets signed, Elton Jenkins, and then Tevin Jenkins. Like, they've signed all of them and basically done this in pretty quick order. Now, will it work? Was it the best way to build an offensive line? I don't know, but you did it quickly. And I was questioning if they would even be able to do that without having to swing a bunch of draft picks at this. And I still think they're a target to take an offensive lineman I think they're at the 6th pick, like very early, and keep building this thing. But that's not easy for an NFL team to do, is replace an entire front 5, and they did it quickly.
All right. In other news, the Packers signed wide receiver Sky Moore to a 1-year deal. The Saints signed Caden Ellis to 3 years, $33 million. Bears signed defensive end Contavious Street, defensive end. Lions signed cornerback Rock Ya-Sin and quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy hanging on. Aaron Jones is staying with the Vikings on a restructured deal, so Jordan Mason fantasy heads, hang your head in shame and sadness. Ravens signed safety Jalen Hawkins, 2 years, $10 million. Falcons signed Azeez Ojulari, 1-year deal, and guard Dylan Parham to sign a 2-year deal up to $20 million with the Jets, ostensibly to be the replacement to Elijah Vera Tucker, who went to the Patriots. Any of those that jump out to you, Sheil, that we want to discuss?
I think the Bradley Chubb one is a little bit interesting because I was looking at him as a potential target for the Eagles. He actually, I believe, had more sacks and more pressures last year than Jalen Phillips, who got the $30 million per year deal from the Carolina Panthers. And the other thing, if we're getting real nerdy, is the compensatory pick stuff is Bradley Chubb doesn't count against that because the Dolphins had to release him. So yeah, I don't mind that move by the Bills. I think their defense is pretty interesting to see what's going to happen there. They had the same group with Sean McDermott in the same scheme for so long, and now they're feeling that pressure, Brandon Beane and this new regime to build it up differently. So that one somewhat has my attention.
They were they were in that Maxx Crosby world too. And even
Hendrickson too, I think, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And everything that's just happened, like they were mentioned again. So I think that, to the fact that people are going in other directions, like the Bills are out of that. I'd say they're out of that race.
Do we have an update on Kyler Murray, Justin? Anything out there? Anything percolating out there in the webosphere, as Al Gore called it?
Yes, actually. Nothing official yet, but as expected, 37 minutes ago, Rap Sheet tweeted, "The Vikings plan to make a push for Kyler Murray and are the favorite to land the former number 1 pick." Finally released now by Arizona, Murray will take his time and wants to hear directly from other teams, but Minnesota is the team to beat.
All right. What do you think about? All right. So let's wait. We'll hold on the Kyler conversation until that becomes official. But I'm trying to think, what are the other teams? Well, you know what? I'm going to hold on that because I don't want to step on our next segment. Special teams matter. Thank you, Justin. To us, they matter, Sheil. Giants signed kicker Jason Sanders. Jets signed kicker Cade York to 1-year deal after losing my boy, the folk hero. Dolphins signed kicker Zane Gonzalez. And the Titans bring in Tommy Townsend. Is he a bald, Justin?
Not to my knowledge. Maybe. Seen him without a helmet on, so actually I don't know.
All right, if you could do some research on that. And they re-signed kicker Joey Sly. So those are the latest transactions, Sheil.
Listen, the bald thing aside, Graver didn't have an answer there, and I don't know if I'm allowed to take people behind the curtain, but we are live. You warned me. Mm-hmm. This is one of the great rundowns I've seen in my podcasting career by Graver. I mean, the highlighting makes sense. The bolding makes sense. It's very organized. I got back from a walk right before we started, and I thought, shoot, I hope I didn't miss anything that we're going to talk about. All the information's right there. Like, if Justin could email this to me every day, I can quit all social media. I don't really have to read any coverage around the NFL, and I feel like I'd be ready to do the Ringer NFL show every day. So shout out to him for this one.
He's a professional, and I think you could say that it supersedes Tom Brady's newsletter. So it's he's right up there already.
I'd also, you'd be surprised, Sheil, that it has this level of detail and organization, considering how incredibly high our producer is.
Well, listen, if you can operate under those conditions, good for you. And as far as comparing it to Brady, let me do a little control F here for McCarver. No, that did not make the rundown today. So that's another nice job by Graver.
McCarver in the rundown. We hit that earlier in the week, but we could always come back to it.
Update.
Do you have a take on batches, by the way, Sheil?
On batches?
Yeah, the joint bachelor party that almost tore asunder
guys and gals.
Justin's relationship and destroyed Dak Prescott's life with Sarah Jane Ramos.
I think it's a generational thing. I am older, and I feel like when we were having bachelor parties, nobody did this. Like, if somebody brought this up, you probably would have gotten, your friends would have been like, we're not doing that. What are you talking about? No one knows each other. Yeah. Part of having good friends, they need to make fun of you for stuff and stop you from doing stuff. But to Justin, I feel like more people do this now. When I talk to the younger people at the Ringer, they're like, yeah, going on a joint, bachelorette party this weekend, and we're all doing dinner, but then we're separating for this activity, but then we're coming back. I feel like we should get back to, the way it used to be, Well,
I think that ship has sailed for us. I mean, we recognize that we're a little old in our point of view, but back in the day, even your uncles and fathers would be ribbing you if you tried to do a mixed gender bachelor
party. Well, have you also, while we're here, and again, just because the young generation's doing it a certain way doesn't mean it's right. Like, Generation Z has completely phased out drinking. Does anybody know like drinking's awesome? Like we're just getting rid of it? Like what? Like in lieu of what? What are you doing to fill the void? Are you just going on hikes? Like what's happening? Like don't tell me that you've chosen a healthier lifestyle. I want to know what you're filling that void with. I want to see your browser history.
I think it tends to lead to like a massive breakdown at like age 46 or something.
I just want to know, like, if you're not doing that, what are you doing to, or maybe, just maybe, these people have not reached a stage where maybe you need a drink every once in a while. You know what I mean? Maybe life's a little too easy. Not that life.
Can't wait to see the comments we're going to get from our.
I don't care about what they say.
In moderation, of course. Well,
in moderation.
Not always in moderation, but when it's not in moderation, not all the time. You know, there is a balance there. But you're right. Something's got to fill that void of let's go hang out and meet up versus staring at our phone. Go touch grass, right?
For the dorks.
Yeah.
Take off your pencil protectors and have a good time for once.
They don't even know what that is. That's our generation. Yeah.
It's my wife, Emily.
Tommy Townsend is not bald, by the way. Had to get the update in there.
All right, we got it. Well, they can do something about that. Bloody lunacy. I got enough issues to throw in alcoholism too. All right, that's fair.
That's a valid point.
Right. It doesn't apply to every
everybody.
single
Yeah,
individual. Right. I think we're measured
well
here.
said. We have very wise listeners. Go sit on rocks. That is another. That's a Sessler phrase that he's trying to get off the ground.
Yeah, I coined it yesterday, and it's taking off.
All right, let's take one more break, and we'll finish out the show with a trip to the Eagles' nest. I mean, we got Sheil Kapadia here, for Christ's sake. And then we take a look at what's left and maybe throw out a move that could come here on this happy new year. Stay right there.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing.
And Bubba Wallace.
You know what's the worst part of a race? A rain delay.
Sitting around waiting for the track to dry is dull.
But instead of waiting, we hang out with Chumba Casino.
Social casino slots, bingo, solitaire, plenty of fun to keep us entertained.
So why let a rain delay slow you down? Play now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. All right. Before we get to the other items on our to-do list and Justin's shimmering rundown, I want to mention a report that came out today. Adam Schefter, NFL Now is exploring playing a game on Thanksgiving Eve as early as this. Speaking of
Justin has been an
holidays,
asset to us, man.
Game on Thanksgiving Eve as early as this season. This year would be Wednesday, November 25th. And this would be the latest move by the NFL in recent years to deviate from its traditional schedule in order to add games on or around national holidays. And Mark, we've joked about this for years.
Yeah.
Some would call it kidding on the square because we've been profoundly annoyed by the NFL's, the old Mark Cuban, what is it? Pigs become hogs and hogs get slaughtered. The NFL's goals to take up every day on the calendar between August 28th and February 15th or whatever. Thanksgiving Eve would give the league 9 major broadcast windows to fill. There also would be spotlight games in the early and late afternoon Sunday windows, Sunday night, Monday night, and a Thanksgiving Eve game in 2026 would set up a 9-day stretch that includes 7 days of NFL games. They're going to do it, Mark. They're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I think Black Friday also has been mentioned by Goodell a couple months ago as now a double header potentially. So, the only thing I'd say
wasn't it a double header this year?
Was it? I thought it was just one. I don't know. Like it's a fog of war when you're in the middle of it all. But
fog of war, indeed.
I would just say this, that like when I was becoming a football fan, and you'd get to that part of the year where there were games on Saturday, just a dotting of games like late in the season, right? They were so special, and like it had this incredible feeling to it, and the NFL just won me over. And there is a danger to anything that you enjoy, just too much of it in your face all the time. But if you pack in college too, if you're a college football fan, there's a map out there where it's like 12 days in a row of college and pro football, and it's just to the point where like the NFL, with all the merging and all the like the corporations coming together, the NFL continues to be the unquestioned biggest winner. Are we the winner if you're the fan? I'd ask you that, Sheil.
Yeah, there was a Thursday night game. I don't know what week it was this year, and I sat down to watch it. Love my job. We're lucky to have these jobs. We know that. So I sat down watching it. But I did think to myself, where I said to my wife, when I'm not working in this industry, I don't think I'm sitting down to watch a Thursday night game. But I think I'm in the exception, because as long as there's gambling, as long as there's fantasy, people are going to watch these games. And if I'm being honest, I've said for years that I'm surprised they haven't done this more dramatically in terms of we're doing a doubleheader Thursday night. Yes, we're doing Friday night. Yes, when college is over, we're doing multiple games on Saturday. On Sunday, we're not doing two windows in the afternoon. We're starting early. We're staggering them. Because if you think about it, they are so greedy, and they're big, financial source here. They can sell these different windows to different streaming services, but they have so many games on at the same time. And we can all say, we love that. That's the beauty of a Sunday. You're flipping around, or you have multiple TVs. But from their perspective, if they can stagger that so that there are just more windows available to them, a doubleheader on Monday night, maybe there's a late game on Sunday night past Sunday Night Football. Like, there are more windows available to them that I believe by the time I'm watching games with my grandkids, this type of thing of 7 games and 9 nights or whatever you said, that's going to be the norm. And maybe sooner rather than later, they're going to find that limit. And I'm with you. I think there probably is a limit, but they're going to keep going and keep going until they find it.
It's insatiable, right? I mean, the 3 Thanksgiving games last year averaged 44.7 million viewers, surpassing the 2024 marker, 34.5. They gained 10 million viewers in 1 year. Like, wow. Where are these people?
That's all you need to know.
It's unbelievable. And the big loser, I guess, to this is if you are a purist. And again, we're going to sound like the old heads, the unks, but like Sundays, the 1 p.m., 4 p.m. games, that's the ultimate loser in the bracket, because you keep on peeling away from the schedule to spread it out and feed all your different major partners. And that Sunday schedule, as we saw last year, just keeps getting watered down more and more. But the NFL doesn't care, because they keep on making more and more money. So that's the way it goes. All right, let's park ourselves in the Eagles' nest here with Sheil Kapadia, one of the most plugged-in men in the industry. On the NFC East, Giants. Well, they're not the Giants of the NFC East. That's the Giants.
Correct. I think you're seeing sort of spiritually.
Right. They are the behemoth of the NFC East, which rubs the Giants even worse, because wait, we are. Nope. The Eagles are the Giants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow.
I'm just going to roll through this real quick, okay? Jalen Phillips, they lose Jalen Phillips to the Panthers, Nakobe Dean to the Raiders. When I say lose, some of these are team decisions, or they're just ready to move on, but the different, changes in the rosters. Reed Blankenship signed with the Texans, offensive lineman Matt Pryor. To the Cardinals, they keep Jordan Davis on a 3-year deal, $78 million, $65 of that guaranteed. That's a big move. They make a deal with Rick Woolen, formerly of the Seahawks, 1-year deal worth $15 million. And they are in Howie ball business. They've received 4 compensatory picks in 2026, tied for the most in the league, alongside the Ravens, who are always at the top of the list with that. And Steelers. I want to focus on the Rick Woolen move first, Sheil, because I did listen to Philly's special this morning, and I thought you guys, you and Zach Berman, I believe, broke it down really well. That there's a lot of potential here, because we know you have in Quinyon Mitchell a star on one side. You have in Cooper DeJean maybe the best slot corner in football. If you can get Rick Woolen to play to his potential and be a more consistent player, that could be the best trio of cornerbacks in football, and maybe it's not close. But there's also a reason, and why it's always buyer beware in free agency. There's a reason the Seahawks said, nah, we're good. See you later, Rick.
Yeah, it's very boom or bust. There's no corner in the NFL who looks like Rick Woolen and has 6'4" and can run like he can, yet it was a very up and down tenure in Seattle. So I look at it, there's a chance, like you said, everyone's going, oh, Howie season, Howie did it again. Oh, the Eagles, how did they get away with this? And we're saying this is the best cornerback trio in the NFL. There's also a scenario because Rick Woolen's one of the worst tackling cornerbacks in the NFL. He got benched twice in Seattle. He lost playing time last year and was in a rotation, and he had to settle for a 1-year deal up to $15 million where all these guys are getting paid. There's a scenario that it gets to like week 4, week 5, and Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is going, I told Howie not to sign this guy. He's on the bench because if you don't tackle, you're not playing for me. So, yeah, I really feel like it can go one of two ways. I think the interesting thing with Howie Roseman is that he is swinging for home runs now for draft, free agency, trade. Like, he's not interested in this guy will be a competent starter. Let's pay him a lot of money. He's kind of taking the big swings that, hey, if we hit, this guy's going to be an all-pro type cornerback. So that's kind of how I viewed the Rick Woolen signing.
Do you think they have a big surprise move up their sleeve? They've been a team that's done that over and over with Howie. I know that it's not just a Maxx Crosby issue; it could be something else. But is there an event to come that will make them one of the bigger stories of the next couple of weeks?
I think the A.J. Brown trade still hangs in the balance. I still think he's gone. I think he's going to be a New England Patriot by the time we get to week 1 of next season. We'll see if I'm wrong about that or not. So that's kind of their big order of business. Dan mentioned David Njoku before. Maybe they make a move like that, or edge rusher is the other area. So, yeah, I think, Howie likes to be in the headlines. He likes everybody on social media to be praising him as the best GM in the NFL. So I don't think he'll sit quiet if he can help it. I think they probably called around on stuff like Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby, but obviously they didn't get Hendrickson, and I don't know that they would be back in on Maxx Crosby unless the price really drops.
Nick Sirianni is a regular topic on this show. It's led to at times adversarial relationship between myself and Eagles fans, and that's okay. Dan Campbell, the Wonder Years, my buddy Soupy, he gets on me in text about Sirianni. I'm curious, as someone who knows this team, where would you put his hot butt ranking entering this season? 1 being totally cool butt, nothing going on there. It's almost chilly. 2, 10, my butt's on fire. Oh my God, am I stuck to the seat? Is it melting? Where's Sirianni rank here?
I probably have him around 7. I mean, I think there's no doubt that if this season goes sideways, I would not be surprised at all if they made a move. You look at it, and last year he couldn't figure out the offense. The year before, they obviously won the Super Bowl, but the roster is probably not going to be as talented this year. And you look at the reason why they've won the last few years here. One is because Howie Roseman this is the hottest run he's ever had as a GM. When you just look at the pure talent on the roster in my lifetime, There's never been a more talented Eagles team than we saw in 2024, and 2022, to be quite honest, might be second on that list. So it's been the most talented team in the NFL. I don't think that's necessarily going to continue to the degree that that's been the case. And then Vic Fangio has been maybe the best defensive coordinator in the NFL, where he's just like, yes, give me this collection of pieces. I will make it work. We will have the best defense in the NFL. So when you look at the reasons they've won, I don't put Nick Sirianni in the top 2, 3, 4. I don't know what the number is, but I would think that the organization would look at this and say, if we have a disappointing season in 2026 where we don't make the playoffs, we might need to step back and say, is there a better person to lead us going forward?
I have a quick question for you, because they interviewed and Sirianni was at the heart of this from what we read, a multitude of offensive play callers. And there is, I think, positive buzz around Sean Mannion out of the gate. And he's a huge part of what this season will be about for the Eagles. What are you hearing about him? And is it something where he can go be free outside of the Sirianni oversight on that?
Yeah, I think it was an interesting hire. I like that they hired him versus one of these retreads where I'm like, we've seen that guy. He has not been a good offensive coach. So it's kind of that uncertainty that you're excited about. But they do have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. They brought in Josh Grizzard from the Bucks, for example. To your point, they still have Nick Sirianni. They got rid of their legendary offensive line coach and Jeff Stoutland and replaced him with a guy that the Vikings were like, we're cool. Yeah, we don't really want him to be our offensive line coach anymore. So they've got all these guys, and I just don't know that you can expect in one offseason to implement all these new things that they're going to try to implement on offense, that you can expect it to just look great right away. So I'm kind of bullish on Sean Mannion. I don't know that I'm bullish that the offense is going to look great right away in 2026.
And just to circle back to Brown real quickly, the Athletics' Chad Graff reports that a Patriots trade for A.J. Brown is now, quote, on the back burner. However, the Patriots aren't out of the Brown sweepstakes, Graff wrote. They're just not sure. The belief is that the Dobbs signing puts them in a situation where they feel like they don't have to be desperate about it. So putting out some smoke signals. I agree with you, Sheil, that there's a very good chance that A.J. Brown and the Eagles are headed for a divorce. There's just too much has gone down, I feel like, at this point. So let's see if he ends up starting over somewhere else. All right. Did we lose Sheil? Oh, my goodness. This
I can hear television. You. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can hear you, but we're looking at a wonderful no signal. El Gato.
Let me see here.
Do you want to hop off and see and try to figure that out?
Let me do that. Let me jump right back in.
All right. It's unbelievable, Right. Should we want to pin this one, Mark, on Justin, or?
I don't want to blame Justin out of the gate. It feels a little vicious, but I don't know who else to blame.
Right. It does feel like he's totally faultless because this seems like it's a hardware issue from Philadelphia. And yet, like the Raiders catching heat for the Crosby deal falling apart, it does fit into a narrative that can work for us.
It certainly does. It certainly does. And I think we'd lean on that. We'd lean on that angle until we have more information.
Justin, what are you doing here? Work with Sheil while Mark and I buy some time, okay?
Okay.
All right, good seeing you, though. Why don't we, we'll get to when if and when Sheil is able to rejoin us. Why don't we share our, Mark, a take, okay? So the list has dwindled now, obviously, for the big names out there, but there are still some names and players. And so this isn't just best remaining free agents, although you can go that way. I'm also thinking, and when I get to mine, it's going to be kind of a domino move after the initial wave of free agency. Why don't you go first, though? Oh, look who's back.
There he's back. So, Sheil, we're dropping some, we can see you, we can hear you. We're dropping some free agent fits here.
Okay.
Little moves that might work. I'm going to go with someone who...
I just want to see how Sheil's doing. Is everything okay?
Well, I was going to say, I thought
Sessler's all business over here.
I am all business,
my Sirianni takes were kind of boring. And I thought, is the audience engaged here or not? Let me throw them a little curveball to see if they're paying attention, like you might do with your little leaguers, right? All right, who can repeat what I just said? It was one of those. So sometimes you got to mix it up a little bit. So, yeah,
it's like when Rocky went broke because he gave power of attorney and then he had to start over again in South Philly. That's how I look at these things.
Very much so. Very much so. Exactly like that, I would say.
Anyway, Mark, I want you to stick your take in your back pocket because I'm leading with Sheil because we never know when that camera can go again, okay?
No, I think that's wise.
And I believe, Sheil, since we were just talking about the Eagles, Sheil, can you please tell us...
He gave power of attorney to our accountant.
How do we have that in our system?
He gave anything to nobody, huh?
Hey, Paulie, what'd you do? Paulie was the biggest piece of trash, dude. But
good actor, though.
We're off the reservation. Burt Young, rest in peace. All right, you have an Eagles free agency move or a domino to fall connected to Philadelphia. Go ahead, Sheil.
Honestly, now my camera has never turned off. It turned off the minute I said Nick Sirianni's on the hot seat. I don't know what Big Dom's doing right now. I don't know what Howie's doing right now, but that doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. I'm just saying, all right, so I'll
just
wait
till you get aggregated for that comment.
Yeah, I'll be back in good graces here with the Eagles organization. How about a trade for Jonathan Grenard? I don't know how much you guys have talked about this trade buzz around the Vikings edge rusher, Jonathan Grenard. It sounds like he wants a new deal. It sounds like they could move him. He had, I think, 12 sacks in back-to-back seasons. Last year wasn't as great, but he's in his late 20s. And you look at the Eagles, they were interested in bringing back Jalen Phillips. They were interested in Trey Hendrickson to some degree. I wonder if now they say, all right, this is a plan C. Let's go look into maybe, I don't know, what can you get him for? Is it a mid-round pick since he wants a new deal? Is it more than that? Let's go another route to get this edge rusher.
The Vikings are in the fourth worst cap situation in the league as of a couple minutes ago. So they got to make some moves. And I kind of trust the Eagles to take a player like Grenard and make the most out of him. They just keep doing that. So anyone to the Eagles kind of works for me.
Jeremy Fowler reports that the Eagles are believed to have inquired about Grenard. Now, I also, and this is all due respect, and I think one thing that sometimes gets miscommunicated on our show or misunderstood is I don't have a lot of respect for Nick Sirianni. I have infinite respect for Howie Roseman and what he's built there. Are they potentially laying in the weeds on Maxx Crosby? Do you think they could ever pull that off?
I think they'll call. I think they'll stay in touch. It would be a very Howie Roseman-esque move if then all of a sudden everyone's celebrating. Oh my gosh, they pounced on this opportunity.
Can't you see it?
I could see it.
Based on the last couple of years of pro football coverage?
Yeah.
Yes.
How did they let him? Oh my gosh, how did they let him do this? Why weren't other teams in on this? So it wouldn't shock me, especially when you look at what Maxx Crosby, I think, is being paid under $30 million per year. And Jalen Phillips, if the Eagles were actually, oh my gosh, I can't believe it went out.
Oh,
it went out
goodness.
Again.
All right,
I don't know what's going on.
Finish your thought.
My thought is if they had earmarked around $25 million to Jalen Phillips, maybe it would be a move if it's a first-round pick and not much else. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Continue with your free agent fits.
The Eagles are really after Kapadia right now.
They've zoned in.
All right, you go next, Sessler.
So
El Gato.
I was mentioning, I think he's going to be released today, but someone that's been in the doghouse out on the West Coast, Brandon Ayuk, who a number of years ago had, and we talked about it on our previous show, 1,300 yards and looked to me like a genuine star at wide receiver. He's had an ACL and MCL injury. He was absolutely not available last year. He was not working out the way the Niners wanted him to. So I see him as like the Niners relationship is over. And the thing that annoys me is that for 2 straight off seasons, he's been talking, hinting, being on podcasts saying that Brandon Ayuk, that he wants to go play with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. They were college teammates, so let him go do it. He's not going to be part of the Niners. I say Brandon Ayuk goes to the Commanders. They tried Deebo Samuel. That didn't work out the way they wanted it to. If he's healthy, if he can play, I think it helps an offense and a team that needs to come back big time from a disappointing season.
I mean, in a vacuum, I like it. I like the idea of a team and the right team with the right structure taking a chance on Ayuk. But it's incredible the arc of his career that I would even frame it as take a chance. This was a guy that was seen as one of the truly underrated great wide receivers in the sport. He has a highly contentious contract negotiation with the Niners, who eventually caved, give him all the money. And he has a terrible start to the ensuing season, which indicated that perhaps he wasn't taking things as seriously as he needed to in the offseason leading up to that year. Then he has a really bad knee injury. I think that's the other thing. Well, obviously it was really bad. He didn't play this year at all. But I think that was a combination of some off the field stuff. But also the knee injury was a pretty catastrophic knee injury. So not only would you be taking on a player where we don't know where he is physically at this state, if he's the same explosive athlete out of the league now for a year and a half, you're also taking on a lot of the potential headaches that led to the Niners immediately having buyer's remorse on that extension. So in a vacuum, I like it, Cessy. But it also feels it's a good dot connect because that feels like a move the Commanders would have made last offseason. Well, also, where it's we'll just plug in Brandon Ayuk. That makes a lot of sense. He'll be great with Jaden Daniels. And then it wouldn't work out. I just feel be careful about how much you give Brandon Ayuk until we see him back on the field and where he's at.
I think that's fair. I would say that I'm quietly rooting for this offense to thrive. David Blau, of the Blauhards is their play caller.
Not of the Blauhards.
Well, he's the centerpiece. But there's this little nugget I read today that Ayuk also raised red flags last December by posting a video of himself driving 104 miles per hour past the 49ers Levi's Stadium. So
right next to that electrical substation.
My top contention is that he doesn't fit on the Niners at this point.
All right. Let's El Gato, the camera that somebody suggested that Big Dom has something to do with the El Gato attack on Sheil's camera. because of potential critical comments of the green regime in Philadelphia.
You talk about connecting dots. I think that's wise.
DeSandro, Big Dom, and he's sort of a legend.
Yeah, he is sort of a legend. Should we just bring in Sheil if his mic works so he can be in the conversation? It's kind of funny. We could even put in like in post. We can't really do it in post, but put in a Sheil headshot. Sheil, you there?
I am here and I am back, but I think I got to exit and come back. I'm doing that real quick. This is it. I'll be right back.
Godspeed. Live television, folks.
Right.
All right. Let me get into mine. Should I get into mine?
Yes.
I'll get into mine. All right. So I don't want to do a free agent one because, quite frankly, here he is. Sheil's back.
You know, I'm a little
unbelievable.
I'll be honest. I'm a little nervous here because I've listened to you guys for a long time, and I know you keep a list somewhere. I don't know if you call it the one-timers or what.
Hit it and quit it list, yeah.
It's the hit it. You have a guest on, and if the guest doesn't come through, they don't get a call back. Now, I've been on with you guys. I was on with you during the season.
Right.
It took a while to get the call back. I didn't know if I was on the same list with, I'm not going to say the names. I think we all know. I think your diehards know the names. I thought maybe I'm on that list, and I got the call back. I'm feeling good. And now I don't know. I don't know if there's a two-timer, hit
I think
it,
you're
hit
safe.
it,
Like,
and then leave it. Yeah.
I feel like Sheil's handled the adversity so well. And
I think that helps you. That's certainly going to help
points.
you when we have our post-production meeting where we dive into this for an extended amount of time. Yeah, the hit it and quit it list, I would say the most notable name or who would be next to you in alphabetical order if you indeed ended up on that list would be Tony Romo when he did an appearance connected to a DirecTV plug and told a canned story about his uncle who struggled to go grocery shopping. And we were very put off by what was very obviously a scripted story he tried to insert
Total
into
mail-in job.
A podcast that is known for a conversational tone.
I can't respect that. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. Come on, Tony. What are we doing here? Be a normal person. You know?
All right. Let's wrap this up before we lose Sheil. And maybe it's Big Dom working with El Gato. We don't know. Yeah. We don't know. I'm going to throw this out here. And I took some heat, and understandable because I didn't maybe explain it as much as I needed to. So when Tua Tagovailoa goes to the Falcons, I was strongly against the move. I didn't think it was a good set. It was a good move, I thought, for Tua, who's playing in a dome and has a chance to reset himself. I just didn't trust the Falcons to get this right. And then I started, and it's like, how can you hate the Tua move but like the Geno Smith move? Let me just be clear here. The Geno Smith move is very much a placeholder for the Jets to get from point A to point C. The Falcons situation is a little trickier, a little thornier, because remember, Michael Penix was a top 10 pick in the draft just a couple of years ago. He only got his one full season to be the starter before he got hurt last year. And think if you're Michael Penix, right? You wait your whole life to get drafted. This could hurt Sheil.
I can't believe it.
Sheil, stay on. Just stay on, Sheil, so we can talk.
I'm staying on.
You wait your whole life to be drafted into the NFL. You go in the first round, and you are the star, and you get drafted by the team that just gave Kirk Cousins $100 million, okay? 2 years later, after you tore your ACL and you're rehabbing, now the Falcons go and they bring Tua into the building, and now we have to trust the Atlanta Falcons to manage this. The idea, do we get a look at Tua and give him a real chance to maybe reset his career with us? Do we give Penix a shot? We got king of football, Matt Ryan, now making decisions, and that's not somebody connected to Penix anymore. If I'm Michael Penix, I want a fresh start. And if I'm the Falcons, it's like, I brought in Tua. Why don't we just get a look at Tua? Let's start over here. Let's hit the reset. Let's send Penix out of Atlanta. Let's give Michael Penix a clean start. And I'm thinking, if they were to make a move and move Penix and then just make Tua, give him a true audition in Atlanta in 2026, and then the Falcons in a quarterback-rich class next year, where I believe they have their first-round pick back, they can then make a decision without all the drama around trying to figure out the Penix Tua mess, which they're not going to handle. Send him to Pittsburgh. How about this? How about the Steelers, instead of just being parked in the cul-de-sac of elite mediocrity, they actually use this season to evaluate a young passer and I know the way people operate in our business, Sheil. Everybody wants to know, okay, but how are the Steelers connected to Michael Penix? Who knows who, like who worked with who and all that stuff? Oh, I got something for you. I got you. Everyone needs that connection point, all right, for speculative content like this. Mike McCarthy's daughter was Michael Penix's nanny in the mid-2010s.
Wow.
Hello.
Okay, that's not true. That's not true. But this is true.
Okay. All right.
Mike McCarthy's offensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys was Kellen Moore, the NFL's only left-handed quarterback during the 2016 season.
Okay.
So there you go.
That's something. I was going
There's
to
a
ask
connection.
Yeah, you said earlier, let's check sort of browser history with the Ravens. I wanted to know, how did you unearth that nugget about the nanny? I was very interested. That wasn't on the rundown.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I think it's more like the Jets thing than maybe you're giving it credit for, the Tua thing. I think it's just a cheap flyer. We're going to buy some time with him this year. We know he's not the guy. We know Penix probably isn't the guy, but we got to buy some time because we don't have a first round pick. We've got a new GM. We've got a new coach. We've got a new president in Matt Ryan. It's $1.3 million or whatever it is. Let's move forward. So I'm with you. I wouldn't be excited about it. I don't think it's going to work out, but I don't think adding Tua does anything where they would say, let's go ahead and trade Penix. But maybe I'm wrong. I like your thinking outside the box. I haven't heard anyone else mention Penix.
Yeah, I'm reckless speculation, Mark, but yeah, I think it would work for both sides where it would clear out and give to a real runway to show what he can do there. And the Steelers, the Aaron Rodgers thing where he's once again playing this game. Like, is there the Steelers as one of the few teams left now that really do have that wide open quarterback question? Like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to go back to Aaron Rodgers, who gives you the most limited of all ceilings in the league just about at this point. They probably will do it. I'm just throwing it out there.
I like it from the Steelers' idea of getting more creative at quarterback and taking someone young and seeing what could happen. I think it would be pretty fatal for Kevin Stefanski and Matt Ryan and company to trade away Penix if he goes to Pittsburgh or fill in the blank and thrives. I am with Sheil that I think he's a placeholder. I did see an interesting note that the Falcons right now have more left-handed players than the Atlanta Braves pitching staff.
Nice, Mark. I love when you go baseball.
Yeah, I want a little baseball there for you. So.
Yeah. When Sheil had a operating camera, thanks, Bill Simmons, he was wearing a cool baseball shirt, but I can only now describe that. I can't actually point it out on the stream anymore.
I'm trying to think if it's better or worse that this is happening with you guys versus my own job, that, you know, because then I could ask for people to troubleshoot. Like, I can't ask Justin to help me out here. He doesn't work for me, even though I complimented him on the rundown, gave him some pop, as you would say, with that. But yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable. So I'll get this figured out. Maybe we'll see. It's another thing I have to do now, you know?
I know it's not fair, but we carry it on our shoulders, all these responsibilities. There he is. There we go on the line. Look at all that hair on Kapadia.
13 years ago, I believe that photo is from. No, not true. 11 years ago. Yeah.
Handsome bugger you are, sir. Yeah. Good job, Justin.
I like your ability to adjust.
All right, before we lose all transmission with our guest, Sheil, you've said it all. Where can people find your brilliant work?
Well, it depends if my camera works or not. But assuming we get that to work, Ringer NFL show, Ringer's Philly special, but maybe Gravedigger can send me that screen grab just in case I can't get my camera to work. I think that would be a nice placeholder. I don't have to worry about what I wear. I don't have to worry about if I have food in my teeth. I can just put that up for all video appearances going forward.
There you go.
Help him out with that, Justin. All right, everybody. Thank you. We'll be back one more show this week, barring some type of crazy story, obviously, on Friday. But we'll be back Thursday. Connor Orr rejoining us, where we'll take it above the treetops view of free agency, as we always do. Mark, your final thoughts on today's show with Sheil.
I love to be up above the treetops with Sheil, camera, no camera. What a great time it's been. Let's keep going. We got one more day. Why do I have to do this at the end of
Because we talked about this yesterday. You gotta fill time.
I know. I would not place it in my top 10 skills, but I'm thrilled to be here
All right,
for another couple seconds.
Till tomorrow, heed the call.